Ladies and gentlemen, there will come a time when you realize that holding on is not strength. It's fear. You hold on because you're scared to be alone, scared to be misunderstood, scared of being the bad person for walking away. But you forget you were never supposed to carry the weight of everyone else's choices. You were just trying to love, trying to fix, trying to make things better for them. But what about you? You've poured your heart into people who only knew how to take. You gave and somehow it was still never enough. Your kindness was mistaken for weakness. Your silence was mistaken for acceptance. And you forgot to take care of yourself while healing everyone else. Letting go is an act of self-love, not selfishness. Most of us grow up thinking that letting go is a sign of failure, that if we walk away, it means we gave up too easily, that maybe we didn't try hard enough. But the truth is, sometimes letting go is the bravest thing you'll ever do. It takes courage to unlearn the idea that self-sacrifice is love. It takes strength to choose your own well-being over the approval of others. Letting go doesn't mean you're cruel. It doesn't mean you're bitter. It doesn't mean you've stopped caring. It means you've reached a place where your own heart matters too. You've realized that peace is more valuable than validation. That love without respect is not really love. And that staying in places where you feel small just to keep others comfortable, that's not kindness, that's self-neglect. We're taught to be givers, to be kind, soft, forgiving, and yes, those are beautiful traits. But when you give and give to the point that you forget your own worth, that's not love, that's burnout. There's nothing noble in losing yourself to save someone else. And there is no reward in staying stuck just because you're afraid of change. You don't need to justify why you're leaving something that hurts. You don't owe anyone a list of reasons. If it costs your peace, it's too expensive. If it drains your energy, it's not for you. If it dims your light, you are allowed, no, you are called to walk away. Because self-love is not just about bubble baths and quiet mornings. It's about tough choices, boundaries, saying enough even when your voice shakes. People might call you selfish when you begin to choose yourself. That's okay. Let them. You know your journey. You know the nights you cried trying to make it work. You know the weight you carried so others wouldn't have to. And now you know this. Letting go is not giving up. It's growing up. It's finally seeing that staying in pain to keep others happy is not love. It's fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of starting over. Fear of being misunderstood. But none of that fear is bigger than your future. None of that fear deserves to keep you stuck. Because what's waiting on the other side of letting go is freedom, clarity, peace, and the version of you that you haven't even met yet. The world doesn't teach us to love ourselves first, but maybe it should. Because when you do, everything changes. You stop chasing people who don't see you. You stop begging for breadcrumbs of attention. You stop twisting yourself into shapes to fit into their world. Instead, you begin to build your own. And slowly the people who truly love you will find you. Not because you went after them, but because your light, your peace, your quiet strength, it drew them in. So if you're standing on the edge of a goodbye, take the step, not out of anger, not out of pride, but out of love for yourself. You deserve a life that doesn't hurt. You deserve to breathe freely. You deserve to rest. And most of all, you deserve to walk away from what breaks you, even if it once made you smile. That's not selfish. That's self-love. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing peace. There comes a point when your soul grows tired of the noise, the endless need to defend, to explain, to make everyone else understand your choices. You try to put it into words. You try to justify your silence, your distance, your quiet exit. But the more you speak, the more drained you feel. Because some people do not want to understand. They want control. They want you to keep playing the role they wrote for you. And the moment you stop performing, they get uncomfortable. But you are not a performer. You are a human being with wounds no one sees and a heart that deserves rest. You are allowed to want peace. You are allowed to walk away without giving a speech about why. Not because you are better than anyone, but because you finally realize that your energy is sacred, and some people don't deserve access to it. When you start choosing peace, everything around you begins to shift. People start noticing that you are not reacting the way you used to. You are not arguing, not fighting for a seat at their table, not begging to be heard. And instead of respecting your calm, some might call you cold, detached, distant. They will whisper that you changed. But what they really mean is you stopped playing small. You stopped allowing their chaos to define your peace. And the truth is, peace is not something loud or dramatic. It does not come with applause or approval. Peace is quiet. It's in the way you start sleeping better, in the way you stop second-guessing your every word, in the way your hands stop shaking when you say no. It's not always visible to the world, but it's deeply felt within you. And once you taste it, you cannot go back to the noise. You might lose people when you choose peace. People who thrived off your chaos. People who felt important when you needed their validation. People who only came around when you were broken. But let them leave. Let them question you. Let them wonder why you stopped showing up. That is not your burden to carry. You have every right to protect your peace, like your life depends on it, because sometimes it does. The stress, the anxiety, the overthinking, the walking on eggshells, that is not love. That is emotional exhaustion. And it has no place in the life you're trying to build. You're not selfish for stepping away from that. You're not cruel for saying, "This no longer serves me." You're not heartless for choosing to heal in private. People will demand explanations, and they will expect access to your pain. But not everyone who asks deserves an answer. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing. Let your absence speak. Let your peace do the talking. Let your growth be the only statement you make. Because if someone truly valued you, they wouldn't need you to explain why you had to protect your peace. They would already know. And if they don't understand, that's okay. Understanding is not a requirement for your healing. You are not here to perform emotional labor for those who never showed up when you were drowning. You are not required to bleed so they can feel better about watching you suffer. Your silence is not weakness. It is strength dressed in softness. It is you reclaiming your space. It is you putting down the sword and choosing stillness instead. And sometimes peace looks like distance. Sometimes peace looks like saying no to invitations that feel heavy. Sometimes peace looks like not answering that call, not replying to that message, not showing up to prove anything. You don't owe anyone the story of your healing. You only owe it to yourself to keep choosing. Closure is something you give to yourself. It is one of the hardest lessons to learn, that the answers you keep waiting for may never come, that the apology you deserve may never be spoken, that the person who left may never return to explain why. And yet, life goes on. The days pass, the silence grows louder, and you're left holding the fragments of a story that never quite made sense. At some point, you have to stop waiting for someone else to give you peace. You have to decide that you are done carrying questions that no longer deserve your energy. Closure is not always a conversation. It is not always a moment of clarity, served to you neatly by the one who broke your heart. Sometimes closure is a choice, a quiet, trembling decision to no longer let the past control your present. You stop scrolling through old messages, hoping for a sign. You stop replaying the goodbye, trying to find the missing piece. You stop making excuses for someone who had every opportunity to make things right and chose not to. You give yourself closure when you finally tell yourself the truth, not the sugar-coated version. Not the version where you could have done more or said things differently. The raw, honest truth that you did what you could with what you knew, that you showed up, that you tried, that you loved as best as you could, and that their silence, their absence, their decision to walk away, that was their choice, not your failure. Closure is walking away without bitterness. It is choosing to forgive someone who is not even sorry. Not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve freedom. You deserve to sleep without wondering if you were the problem. You deserve to live without holding on to what was never truly yours. You give yourself closure every time you choose healing over hatred, understanding over resentment, release over revenge. There is a quiet strength in letting go of things you never fully understood, in deciding that your peace is not worth sacrificing for someone else's confusion. You stop chasing explanations and start creating peace within yourself. You learn that some people leave not because of who you are, but because of who they are not ready to be. And you don't need to keep reopening that wound just to see if it still hurts. You already know it does. Now it's time to heal it. Closure comes when you begin to focus on what's ahead instead of what's behind. When you stop defining your worth by how someone else treated you. When you look in the mirror and choose to love the person who survived all that silence. It's not easy. It's not quick. But it's powerful. Because the moment you stop needing someone else's validation to move on, you reclaim your power. You give yourself closure when you stop writing new endings for stories that have already closed. You stop waiting for a knock on the door, a message, a sign that may never come. You start choosing your own voice over the echo of someone who never truly saw you. You remind yourself that you are allowed to move forward without everything making perfect sense. You are allowed to stop holding space for someone who never showed up. You are allowed to let go even if the chapter ended without a final page. Closure is not something found outside of you. It is something built within, piece by piece, decision by decision, breath by breath. It's the quiet acceptance that not all stories have neat endings, and not all people will offer you the respect of clarity. But even in the absence of that, you can still choose peace. You can still choose to stop waiting and start living. Healing isn't loud. It's silent, sacred, and slow. Healing doesn't always come with big, dramatic changes. It doesn't always look like milestones or grand declarations. It often happens quietly, in moments no one sees. In the way you breathe through the ache instead of breaking. In the way you walk past the places that once shattered you without flinching. In the way your voice stops shaking when you speak your truth. It's not a performance for the world to applaud. It's a deeply personal journey that unfolds in stillness, in solitude, in soft decisions made when no one is watching. Some days, healing looks like staying in bed just a little longer because your body needs rest. Other days, it's showing up when everything in you wants to disappear. It's choosing to face the emotions instead of burying them. It's crying without shame, forgiving without hearing an apology, and letting go without fully understanding why it happened. Healing asks for patience. It asks for gentleness. It asks for space to breathe without pressure to rush. The world tells you to move on, to be strong, to get over it. But healing doesn't follow a timeline. It doesn't move in straight lines. There are setbacks. There are days when the pain resurfaces out of nowhere. A memory, a song, a sense. Suddenly you're back in that place again, and you wonder if you've made any progress at all. But you have. Because even in that moment of breaking, you're no longer falling apart the way you once did. You're holding yourself together with more grace than before. Healing isn't loud because it doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. It's in the way you speak to yourself more kindly, in the way you stop blaming yourself for things beyond your control, in the way you catch your thoughts when they try to pull you back into the past. It's choosing not to respond to every trigger. It's choosing peace over the need to be right. It's walking away instead of staying to prove a point. It's the quiet courage of knowing your worth without needing external validation. There's a sacredness to healing because it touches the parts of you that were once abandoned, the parts that you tried to hide, ignore, or numb. It brings you face to face with your inner wounds, not to shame you, but to help you understand them. It's not about becoming someone new, but remembering who you were before the world told you to be something else. It's about peeling back the layers of protection you built just to survive and learning how to feel safe in your own skin again. Healing is slow because it honors every part of you. It doesn't force transformation. It invites it. It waits for you to be ready. It allows you to take one small step at a time, and with each step, you learn how to trust yourself again, how to believe in the possibility of joy, of connection, of love that doesn't hurt. You learn that it's okay to not be okay, that it's okay to celebrate small wins, that it's okay to need time. And while the world may not notice the changes right away, you will. In the way you no longer react from old wounds, in the way you hold boundaries without guilt, in the way you look at your reflection and see someone resilient, someone soft, someone whole. Healing doesn't announce itself, but it leaves its mark in the most profound way. It reminds you that you are not broken, you are becoming, you are not weak. You are learning how to feel deeply without drowning. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be for your heart to slowly come home to itself. Not everyone deserves a seat in your next chapter. There comes a moment in life when you look around and realize not everyone who started with you is meant to continue with you. Some people were only meant for a page, maybe a chapter, but not the whole book, and it hurts. Because you shared memories, laughter, secrets, pieces of your soul, but time has a way of revealing what presence is seasonal and what is sacred. Growth has a way of showing who is aligned with your journey and who was only comfortable with the older version of you. You begin to notice the patterns, the ones who disappear when you're struggling, the ones who grow quiet when you succeed, the ones who constantly drain your energy, bring confusion into your peace, and still expect you to carry the friendship. You used to excuse it. You told yourself they were just going through something. You gave the benefit of the doubt until it became self-neglect, until you were the only one holding the connection together. As you evolve, your energy becomes more valuable. You start protecting it the way you once protected relationships. You stop explaining your worth. You stop begging people to meet you where you are. You stop trying to convince anyone that you're worth staying for. And in that shift, you begin to make room for what's real. For connections built on truth, respect, and depth, not just history and convenience. Letting go does not mean you are bitter. It means you've grown past what no longer fits. It means you've outgrown conversations that don't nourish your soul. It means you've outgrown dynamics where you always shrink just to keep the peace. It means you've stopped offering VIP access to people who treat your presence like background noise. You are allowed to curate your space. You are allowed to be selective. You are allowed to walk away without turning it into a war. Not everyone is meant to understand the new version of you. Some will only remember who you used to be. And that's okay. You don't owe anyone consistency if it comes at the cost of your growth. You don't need to stay small just to make others feel comfortable. Your healing may challenge people who were used to you being broken. Your boundaries may disappoint those who benefited from your lack of them. But you are not here to play a role in someone else's comfort zone. You are here to become who you were meant to be. Every new chapter demands a different you, a version that is more aligned, more awake, more at peace, and not everyone can walk that path with you. Some will leave on their own, some you'll have to let go of. Some you'll love from a distance, and some you'll simply outgrow, not because of any fight or drama, but because your soul evolved beyond that connection. That's not failure. That's transition. That's what growth often looks like. Silent separation from what no longer resonates. You begin to realize that solitude is better than forced connection. That your own company is better than performing in relationships that don't see you. That the energy you once gave away trying to fix others is better spent building yourself.